so much for joining us for our 2022 Community Voices Poet Speak program. Today we are featuring poet Mical Asefaw. My name is Nia McAllister and I'm the Public Programs Manager at MOAD. As we begin, I want to acknowledge the spaces that we're occupying. Though we're gathered virtually, we recognize that non-native people to this land are descendants of settler occupiers or those forcibly brought to this continent. MOAD occupies the unceded land of the Ramaytush Ohlone people, and we pay our respects to the Ohlone people and their elders, both past and present, who have stewarded this land throughout the generations. We encourage all to learn more about the native lands that you occupy by visiting nativeland.ca. Community Voices Poet Speak is an annual series that features local Bay Area poets who share original work based on the current exhibitions at MOAD. Today's program is the first in a 7-week series, and each Thursday through the months of January and February, we'll be featuring a different poet every Thursday at 5 p.m. This is the poet's opportunity to share new work and reflect on the inspiration of the exhibitions and the process of writing ekphrastic work, or poetry based on or about art. The exhibitions currently on view at MOAD are Soul of Black Folks, art by Ghanaian painter Amoako Boafo, and Thread for a Web Begun, works out of silk by Malawi-born, Johannesburg-based artist Billie Zangewa. As we are adapting this series virtually for this month, we'll be sharing images from the exhibitions on the screen as our poets share their poems and speak about their work. I encourage everyone to engage through the chat throughout this program. Usually we do this program in the galleries so you can directly interact. So please share thoughts and ideas that move you in the chat. And we also will have some time at the very end for you to ask questions directly to Mical. So please share those and we'll invite you to contribute at the end. And I want to thank poets and writers for supporting this program series as well. And with that, I'm very thrilled to be introducing our featured poet for today. Mikhail Asfah is an Eritrean-American poet, activist, and blogger. She was born in Khartoum, Sudan, in a refugee camp and came to the US as an infant Eritrean refugee. She grew up in the Fillmore, San Francisco's Harlem of the West, in the African American and Eritrean communities. Mikal draws on her history to create spoken word pieces that inspire others to think critically about race, gender roles, and identity. Mikal uses her voice to shine light on the truth and generate more love in the world. And with that, welcome.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation. It is so special to be a part of MOAD and anything to do with MOAD. So this is just such a delight for me. I am going to read 3 pieces. The first one is inspired by Amoako Boafo in his art exhibit, and then the second one is for the second exhibit that I focused on for Billie Zangewa. So let's start with Amoako Boafo. I want to say that his work is very interesting because he titled the exhibit Soul of Black Folks, which is a book that was written by W.E.B. Du Bois, and he touches on the concepts of double consciousness and the color line. And his work expresses the importance of us seeing ourselves as Black people the way we see ourselves. And the whole idea of double consciousness is that Black people are living 2 different worlds at the same time. The world that is the experience that we have of our own stories being told from the eyes of someone else, of white people, and how that how we navigate through that. And then there's the world that we live that isn't told, the narrative of our own perspective that isn't told. So he goes on to paint, finger paints, and he captures the essence of Black people the way he sees his people and himself. And I wrote this poem to reflect that. He's very much into fashion, and he's incorporated fashion through all of his pieces, and you can see Black people in this beautiful light where they are just being themselves. And it's revolutionary because Nobody's struggling. Nobody's fighting a fight. They're just being. And so that is his experience in art form. So I'm going to read this piece. I do want to say that he also experienced racism when he went to Vienna to try to exhibit his work. And so I captured that discovery, or the feeling of being shut out of the art scene because of him simply being Black. And what he did was he created a space of his own and invited other Black people to be able to share and consume one another's work. And that was such a powerful force for him that he ultimately gained popularity in the white world because of his own desire to create and inspire one another. And as we know, whenever we do that, we become much more interesting to the dominant group. And so he's now very well known, and he went from selling his work for $100 to $100,000. And that's just important, that we create our own space and see the value in ourselves before anybody else does. With that said, that long intro, here I go. I call this the invitation. Fashion this, Black man, Black woman, you are fashionable. They try to wear you. You're the most beautiful canvas. Your skin is bliss. Your existence is a kiss to the earth, the rebirth of the rebirth of the rebirth of cool to the touch. They can't touch you. They stay frozen in their boxes they try so hard to keep you out of. They have not thought of coming out of the box. Those boxes are what you bury the dead in. The dead end is not up to them. This generation climbs. No need for boxes for those who fly and soar with wings they've grown from seeds of struggles. Those seeds grow into creative flow, into finger-painted souls of colorful moments captured while you blinked. Those seeds grow into moments of smiles and hugs and triumphs. Those seeds grow into the goals of our ancestors to do more than survive, to do more than thrive, but to create a life you design to the full extent of your colors. We lead the world back to the truth. You are loved, loving, and lovable. Love is yours and always has been. Black man, you are king. Black woman, you are goddess. No matter how many ways they tell us we are less than, they keep watch for what we'll do next, and they'll try to catch it, bottle it up, box it, put it in a cup, on a plate. They'll try to put it on a mannequin in a study while they study my melanin, trying to find ways to duplicate the cool embedded in my DNA. Never recognizing you can never repeat an original. You can try to keep me out from what is mine. I'll just create more space in the world. And one thing's for sure, the more we are placed under pressure, the more we shine. Black man in your pink shorts, Black woman in your yellow blouse, you are everything. You are smooth and chiseled. You are hues of blue. You are simple and complex and elegant. You are king in your plaid, queen in your clutch, monstera, sculpted hair, white turtleneck, bright and metal, flowers, dark, velvet, spicy, cashmere, gold, bold, brown, pearls, jeans. You are head wraps and fancy caps, kufi, suit, spirit of the shield and spear. You are spacious, holding space for others. You are here, alive and ready. You are your own space, inviting me in to take up mine as we turn the tides of this world. Thank you. So that was that one. And the next one, give me one moment. Okay, so this next one is about Billie Zangewa, and she is interesting because very similar to Amoako and the simplicity of his art pieces and how that's revolutionary because it's the telling of our own story. There's something really beautiful about seeing the battery's low. Can you do that for me? Thank you. It's the simplicity of it. The idea that as Black women, we are constantly portrayed as struggling and fighting and trying to uphold the world. With her, the simplicity of the images in combination with the complexity of her work. She's using silk and she's stitching these pieces of fabric to paint a picture. And the pictures that she's capturing are everyday femininity, the simple things that we as Black women take joy in and are able to find some refuge in just doing the mundane things and portraying that as our norm, because we're not constantly struggling. Although there is the experiences of racism, sexism, we still do have moments of calm. And I love how she emphasizes something as like just sleeping, laying down in the sun, and how we get to have that too, the luxury of the simple things. We have that as well in our day-to-day. And so here it is. It's called About Venus. There is a almost like she's telling her story, like glimpses of her. There's a personal touch to all her pieces, because the ones that were exhibited, because they're showing you glimpses of her life and her child as well, and you'll find in some of these pieces. So it's called About Venus, and Venus is one of the is in one of the titles of one of the pieces. So I decided to continue to meditate on Venus a little bit more. So About Venus. This is about me. Bare, open, comfortably me. Silk and stitches captures the acts of everyday femininity, of everyday things, of lovers, of mothers, of lovers becoming mothers, mother falling in love with child, child becoming inspiration, inspiration from moments of joy, pain, birth, rebirth that caused me to seek silk, needle, and stitch, to immortalize the richness of my life in the form of mourning, in the form of a stretch in the morning, in the form of sunbathing, in a cup of tea. I know it awaits me, the heaviness of being Black and woman and mother in this world of ours. It holds no space to breathe. So the most revolutionary thing I could do is just be calm and present and breathing and tasting and laughing and breathing and enjoying the loves of my life, in my life, my life. It is in these things, the pleasures I permit myself, leaving behind generational shame attached to self-indulgence. The simple acts of self-care that allows the world to continue to sit on my shoulders without tipping off. Beyond surviving war, beyond baskets and babies on my hip, beyond carrying buckets of water for miles in the sun. Sometimes to survive, I just need a nap in the sun with my son. To be the angel at his bedside, to just lie naked, surrounded by libations. To be showered by my lover, to shower with my lover, to see the beauty of the mundane, riveting to one seeking joy in the nothings that make life everything. Stitch by stitch, I let go of hardship. I need not be attached to suffering, for Africa is full of that, and full of women sipping tea, remembering, telling stories, stitching and laughing and stitching and crying and stitching and living and living and living. We survive. We survive because of the everyday things. Thank you. Okay. I love seeing your faces. Okay. This last piece. I kind of meditated. I meditated on both of the messages of the entire exhibit. I looked at all the different pieces and I looked at how I feel about it, how I connect to them all. And the first thoughts that I had when I came in, I jotted them down before I did the background check, or the background stories, to learn more about it, about the artist. And I put that down separately so that I had my own perspective of the perspective. So this is my meditation on their meditation. So here it goes. This is called Strong Black Woman. And I'm feeling out the feeling of this whole double consciousness and then being a woman and feeling the weight of the narrative of having to struggle, or when people come up to me and say, "You're such a strong Black woman," and how that feels like a weight sometimes. And for a long time, I wasn't able to articulate why is that so challenging, even though it sounds like a compliment. Why does it feel so heavy to hear that? And in going through these pieces and going through these two exhibits, I realized that it is part of a narrative that I don't want to be mine all the time. I am strong, I am Black, I'm woman, but that's not all that I am. And sometimes I don't want to be that all the time. So, okay, it is called Strong Black Woman. Telling me that I am strong Black woman is not a compliment. I had nothing to do with it. Being Black or woman. Would it make sense to say, what a strong white man, or what a strong white woman? You see, what is implied is that because of the color of my skin, I have endured struggle after struggle. Therefore, I am built to handle it all. And not just handle it all, but to do so with a smile, with a boldness, with invisible success, with the strength of 10 men, without receiving their value or their credit. But that don't matter. That just means I'm stronger. I can handle it longer. I'm used to it. I wouldn't know any other way to be. Rest? Who needs it? Not me. You see, the pain is not pain to me because I've been there. I've done that. I will always go through that because that is what is expected of me. Therefore, I am a strong Black woman, a type of superwoman. Soulful, deep, wise, tired feet? That's not me. Because I'm lean. I'm a lean, mean fighting machine. I'm too numb to feel. Better make sure I'm smiling because I'm representing all who look like me. Better to be a strong Black woman than an angry Black woman. See, there's no room for rage, not when I'm on stage. So I must dance and smile and fight and smile and smile and fight and smile. And I can't let my people down because they need me. Black people need me. Africa needs me. The diaspora needs me. But what if I put down the cape? What if I put down my fist and took a rest for the day? What if I played hooky from being a strong Black woman and just wrote a poem today? What if I ate ice cream on a cold day? What if I added sprinkles and chocolate cake? What if I I did all of that while my daughter's still at school. What if I just enjoyed a movie? What if I just looked into my lover's eyes? What if he looked back at me? What if I just meditated on my daughter's smile? What if I just melted? What if I just sat in a cozy corner and read a dystopic sci-fi thriller? What if I wrote one? What if I just looked at the sunset and remembered God? What if I painted the sky? What if I prayed gratitude for the loves in my life? What if I just threw on a pretty dress and felt pretty? What if I got it all done for me, without the weight of the world on my shoulders? And just because I'm strong doesn't mean I want to be. If that offends you, I am not sorry. To be relentlessly called strong implies that you have built the muscle from carrying heavy weight for long periods of time. But ain't I a woman? Don't I get to feel dainty and petite for just a moment? And ain't I a woman? Don't I get to feel delicate and vulnerable for just a moment? I don't need to be rescued. I just need a refuge from being Black and strong and a woman for just a moment. I know I am the dutiful daughter. I know that I am the honorable mother. I know that I am the ever loyal lover. I know that I'm the untiring worker. I know that I'm all of it all the time. But right now, I just want to sit in the stillness, in the quiet. If that offends you, I'm okay with it. Because I am a woman, and I am Black, and I am strong. But most importantly, I am human. Thank you.
Those were absolutely beautiful poems. Thank you so, so much for sharing those. We have comments in the chat talking about how great it was that you incorporated titles from the pieces into the poems. And I loved hearing how you blended together the experience of being in the galleries, seeing the pieces and how that's then translated into your work. I'm wondering if you could briefly speak to your writing process. I'm curious what behind the scenes looks like after you've taken those photos and been in the gallery space. What does it look like to then turn them into these pieces?
So I wanted to come in and have like this authentic experience. I didn't want to come in wanting to write. I just wanted to feel what it would feel like if I were to just, just visit. And I didn't want to know anything about the artist. I just wanted to come in like no previous research. So I come in and I do let the work speak to me, So I'm looking at the images and recognizing there's something different about what I'm looking at. Whenever I've gone to see Black art or art, through a museum or like some like historical museum where you're seeing, the past portrayed about Black people, it's really heavy. And that is the truth, that there is heaviness in our history. The entire diaspora is the diaspora because of a heavy history. But coming into the space for Billie's exhibit, I felt almost like I was surrounded by like femininity that was familiar to me in what I felt like was my own culture, the culture that I grew up with as an Eritrean woman. There's an image where the women look like they're mourning. And that reminded me of how the women in my culture mourn. And I wasn't sure because I hadn't read anything about it, but I felt like that was a snapshot of my life. That was a snapshot of my picture, of a picture of what I experienced in the past, like all like captured in this one moment in this picture. And the fact that it was created by hand, and that's part of her culture, and how we also, you know, we incorporate images and stories. All of that felt familiar to me, and the familiarity was comforting. But then there are moments where I'm not used to seeing Black women comfortable, and I thought, why is that so different? Like, why is that so revolutionary? I mean, I found it problematic. Like, why is this exciting to see image of a woman who's just bare and she's loving herself, and I'm waiting for the shoe to drop? Like, what does it mean? So I appreciated it just being what it is, and I felt like those everyday moments. For a second, I was just like, why does it matter if I don't know what's happening? Can you move around a little bit? Thank you. So I was just like, why is this important to see a woman just laying in the sun? Because it's so important to just do that. It's just important to do that. And that reminded me of the need to self-care, because the world is hard on us. And so when you take the time to take care of yourself, you're replenishing yourself. So it just affected me in a way where that was inspirational to me, like to just know that it's not only a necessity for your day-to-day, the hard stuff that you go through, but just to remind yourself that that is the way you love yourself in this harsh world. And as Black women, I think it's important to love on yourself. So that was, that impacted me in my writing and got me meditating on like my motherhood and why these moments with my daughter, like she's watching me as well. And so, so there's that. For Amoako, I really appreciated that he incorporated W.E.B. Du Bois, and because of his experience of being discriminated and coming from a Black country and into a white environment and being told, not only is your work we're not going to look at your work, but the entire continent. He was told that we don't accept African art. So like before I knew that, when I went in and looked at all of his pieces, there's a lot of pride in it. There's a lot of almost like the simplicity of it, just the posing. And when you look at the colors, you can tell that this person is not looking at Blackness from a sense of like, for that shoe's gonna drop. It felt like he had a perspective that is just like almost commonsensical. I see myself in my home. You look at portraits, we're all smiling. We're not like having hardship in our home. So it's like we got a chance to see us in a normal light, which is what we have at home. That is what we live. It's normal. So I don't know why. At first, I had a hard time trying to make sense of, why am I not seeing? Where is that? Where's the struggle? Where's the, and then when I went home and meditated on it from all the notes that I took, well, that in itself is revolutionary. It's important to just see ourselves in the norm that we experience from our lens. So anyway, that impacted my writing. And then when I went home and thought about it, the third poem came about my realizations of like, the simplicity of it is powerful. Okay, and that's all I'm going to say. I don't even know if I answered your question, but I could talk about this for days, as you can see.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that inspiration. I think it really gives context to both your pieces and just how impactful the art is in itself. And so I encourage everyone to please visit MOAD to see these exhibitions in person. Both of these shows will be up through February 27th. So there's still plenty of time. And I want to thank you again, Mical, for sharing these pieces. And this is just kicking us off for this series as well. This is the first of 7 weeks of poetry. And so next week, I'm very excited to have Yeva Johnson as our featured poet. Yeva's here in the audience. Hi, Yeva. So please do join us for that wonderful conversation and celebration of poetry. Again, it will be at the same time, 5 p.m. next Thursday, January 20th, and we'll be doing it virtually. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you again, Mikal, for sharing your poetry and being part of this series. And thank you, Elizabeth, for also sharing our information about visiting the museum. We're open every Wednesday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday, and Sunday 12 to 5. So please do come attend the exhibitions, see this artwork in person, and join us online again next week. And we'll be closing out this series on February 24th with a group reading with all of the poets. So it'll be really lovely to have everyone's work in conversation. So please do join us for that. And I want to thank everyone for being here, and have a wonderful rest of your evening. Take care.